Hi, this is Regina Y. Favors with Overcoming Setback series, and so I want to talk about how you should work through the 7 stages of setback. So this is going to give you an introduction to the 7 stages of setback that I created myself, and they are fully explored in my book Overcoming Setback: 5 Keys for Entering, Exiting, Correction. And so it's all about the correction process. To exit setback, you have to go through correction. And to go through correction, you have to receive instruction in order to advance, because instruction or correction is just another form of instruction. And you cannot exit setback without some sort of mentoring, some guiding, listening to your conscience, receiving instruction to move you forward. So this is Overcoming Setback series, working through the 7 stages of setback. Please like the video. Subscribe to the channel. If you are interested in further audio lessons, hit the notification bell. Thank you for listening. So the 7 stages of setback, this is an introduction to the correction process. And yes, it is focusing on setback, but the goal is to overcome setback. And again, the only way that you can overcome setback is through correction. So the 7 stages of setback include the following: missed opportunity, punishment, pain, correction, recovery, restoration, and advance. And so throughout this audio lesson, we're going to go through each stage of setback. So stage 6 is restoration, which is that need for mentoring. So I said a little bit about a guiding hand in the recovery stage, but now you need mentoring to move yourself forward even more. So I'm a little leery of people who don't have a mentor. So when I go over this, really pay attention to this, that people who operate on their own without some sort of guiding hand, I wouldn't necessarily take them seriously, because you need somebody to honor, to serve, to receive mentoring for. To restore is to return something to a former place or condition, to return something to a former owner. It also means to reinstate a previous practice, right, or custom. The problem with the missed opportunity is that before it became a missed opportunity, you were going down the right path, which is clear. Restoration requires mentorship, and mentorship is predicated on learning from someone who has walked out the process. So this is especially true for anyone who has gone through their own setback. Never ignore people who have lost their jobs and got another. Never ignore people who have lost their homes and got another. Never ignore people who have gone to prison and are out and have stayed out, or someone who has gone to prison and have gone back and forth, right? But never ignore those people. They are showing you setback, correction, restoration. They're showing you so much. And if they have been able to sustain no longer being homeless, they have kept a job, they have not gone back into prison, someone had to mentor them. Sometimes the mentor is a physical person. Sometimes the mentor is a book. Sometimes the mentor is going to the courthouse and listening to the judge. But regardless, in order for you to be restored, you're going to need mentorship. And mentorship is predicated on learning from someone who has walked out the process. The mentor is a taskmaster, and it is through restoration where the mentor helps you to get back on track. Whatever track you started on, the mentor intuitively knows where to challenge you, push you, move you forward, and continue to instruct you in the right way to go. The mentor catches you up during restoration. So I had a mentor while I was in college. So he started out as my college professor first, and then I used him as a mentor when I was a Ronald E. McNair Scholar and part of that scholars program. And then I used him as a mentor during my graduate studies, where he was the thesis chair. And then he mentored me a little bit after college as well. And so what I realized with him, there was a lot that I just did not know, because I came from public school. And when you come from public school, and I don't know what it is going on today, because I don't teach public school. I don't teach secondary level. I teach post-secondary. And but what I do remember, everything was about check mark and gold star. there was no real critical thinking. There was no real staying with it. You did everything you needed to do in the classroom. I rarely remember taking homework home. Even my students in my class who are, like 19, 20 years old, who just graduated from high school, they say exactly the same thing. And they say that now in like 2017, 18, 19, when I was teaching those classes. And whereas if you were in AP course, or if you're in a private school, it's all about trying to get a good understanding of it, and taking it home and having tutors and things like that. I don't remember that. So there was a lot in my learning that needed catching up. And so as a taskmaster, my mentor, he didn't know it at the time, and I didn't know it at the time. It wasn't until I started to self-reflect on it, and then when I assumed a role as a faculty member, and I began teaching my students and reflecting on learning processes and everything, that's when I realized, God used him to catch me up. That there was some gaps in my understanding about how to learn, how to demonstrate learning, or there was maybe there was some places that maybe I had the wrong teacher, maybe I had, or sometimes you can have the right teacher but not receive that teacher. It just depends. But I realized that there was some gaps in my learning and I had to be caught up. Well, if you are entering a setback, if you're in setback, there's some gaps in your learning. There's a natural setback. Like sometimes you can go down the right path, but the other people are not ready for you. So for instance, here it is, you set the task to do something, but somehow it has to be delayed because people are not showing up, or there's a weather related situation or something like that. That sometimes you can have all of the different ideals to put forth and tell people, but God has to prepare the hearts and minds of people to receive you. So that could be a setback. But then you can create setbacks yourself by not studying, not preparing, not doing the things that you're supposed to do. And I always tell people the easiest thing that you can do as a kid is to get your homework out. Do the chores around the house, get your homework out. Because once you leave the house, you have to do adult-like things like pay bills, pay your rent, pay this or whatever. But the easiest thing you can do is do that. So the mentor catches you up during restoration. You need the mentor because the mentor has some age on them, has some experience on them, and can mentor you and talk to you and teach you how to get out of your setback, how to recover and restore, and then later advance. The restoration stage is tricky, however. You can find the wrong person at this stage in the process to mentor you because that person could decide that you are not worthy of mentorship. You could find the right person who is interested in mentoring you, but you might struggle with trusting the mentor because of previous experiences. And I've had this problem. I had a Spanish teacher, and I talk about this in other audios. I had a Spanish teacher who didn't teach Spanish. The room, he didn't turn on the light. The light was off in the room. We had light coming through the windows. He never wrote Spanish on the board. He didn't speak Spanish. He told us to get the books out of the locker, do the problems or whatever, and then if we needed to know the answers, look at the back of the book for the answers. And that was the bulk of him teaching us Spanish. And so that left such a bad taste in my mouth. I think about it to this day. I try to make sure I guide my lessons and lectures in the right way so students don't feel the same thing. And so now I got a better Spanish teacher in college, and he was a Spanish teacher. He taught Spanish. He played his little guitar. He engaged you, everything. But it was hard for me to receive him simply because of that high school Spanish teacher who just did not teach. And what I feel like when I think about that Spanish teacher, I didn't have the language at that time to help me understand it. But in becoming a teacher, I can look at it now and say he didn't think we were worthy enough to teach Spanish. He didn't. I'm telling you, he never spoke Spanish in that classroom. Never. He never wrote anything on the board as Spanish. I don't even remember him checking my work, and that makes sense because he told us to look at the back of the book for it. But I struggled with even caring about learning Spanish in my later Spanish classes because you have to have a complete a foreign language for college graduation. And so even though I took two or three Spanish courses later, I just never learned it. I never cared enough to learn it. I didn't want to learn it. I was offended by it. It was just easier to learn it because it was closer to English. But I remember taking a Japanese course and I loved it. And she was the best teacher. She was actually a graduate student. And then I remember in high school in my 10th grade, I had this geometry teacher, and she was the she you could tell she loved her job. She loved teaching. She engaged you. She checked your work. She mentored you. And for the first time ever in math, I was doing well. I was really doing well in math. I'm not saying I passed with an A because math is not necessarily my passion, but I remember the mentoring. I remember that. So you need someone to mentor you, but you do have to check the mentor. You can learn from anybody, even through their negativity. So he didn't think I was worthy, or he didn't think any of us were worthy of teaching Spanish. Well, that gave me insight for how I frame my lessons. So I make sure that students learn what they need to learn in my classroom. Restoration is important for reinstating the belief that study and preparation are all important for all areas of life. And that's really the key. That if you are in a setback, it's something that you did not, there's a gap, and then there's something that you did not study and prepare for. And so then your lack of study and preparation left you without the capacity and the tools to implement any kind of decision that you needed to make, and so therefore you were set back. And so it's all about study and preparation. You don't always need a course to study and prepare. If you are working with credit cards or finances or something like that, you study and prepare for it, right? You save money. You need to be able to pay your bills at the end of the month. You shouldn't have to call the credit card companies to pay your bills. And that's an area where I've struggled, because I could have the job and then something happens and then all of a sudden I couldn't pay the bill. And so that's something that I want to make sure that I continue to monitor even myself. All right. Hopefully you gain some insight from this stage of setback. Like, subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for more discussions. You can visit YouTube for more content, Regina Y Favors channel. And on that channel are also sections for other YouTube channels I run. You can always send me an email, reginayfavors@yahoo.com. The book will become available October 2021, Overcoming Setback, 5 Keys for Entering and Exiting Correction. Thank you for listening to this audio and visiting the channel. Have a great day.